All right, good afternoon, everyone. You are welcome to this session of the SBS. And sorry, I've been keeping this for a long time. I'm supposed to have dropped details regarding this. Now, this is just going to be like a wrap up to the learning phase so that you can actually try to see how to leverage and trade with the SBS. All right, there are different concepts on how you can actually trade out there, right? Trading from different setup and different POI. And the reason why I prefer the SBS, I name it the SBS because I see it as a way in which one can actually catch up setup moves in line with the way the forex market is designed, right? The forex market is designed in such a way that the market doesn't move in zigzag pattern just like we know. And if you see from the market structure video I gave, I explained to us how market really work, A versus how you should look at the market. And that is how and why you should concentrate on the way markets really move, because this is going to help you trade in line with institutional traders, the banks, the financial institution, the big money, the big guys in the market. Now, SBS is something you already know, but I actually coin it out in such a way you can trade it, right? And how you can look at SBS in line with direction and the entry time frame. As simple as that. SBS stand for sweep, break, and structure. Now, the structure here is actually based on structural liquidity, right? It focuses on identifying high probability trade setups by recognizing institutional price behavior. And I'm going to give a breakdown. Now, I'm talking about the sweep. Now, the sweep here has to do with stop ons, stop ons, right? Where liquidity is being engineered, all right? It can also require to manipulation. Now, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use synthetic, right? It works in every market, right? It works in every market. All right, so I'm currently on my synthetic chart. Please pay attention, right? Pay attention. I love teaching in a way that everybody that's listening to my voice can really get the way the market really work and also leverage in getting the best from the market. So you can also call it manipulation of liquidity zone of liquidity zone. Now you remember that with some you can call it the turtle soup, right? However, just know that price always grabs some liquidity before price move up, and we have the break. Now the break is just very simple, which is price breaking from one level to another. The break of structure, right? Structure, sweep break, and the structure in terms of inducements, or the structural, sorry, or the structural liquidity, right? Now, these are the three things you actually need to make good amount of money from the market if you follow what I'm going to explain. Now, like I said, SBS stand with sweep break structure, or we can even call it CB, SBI, all right? Call it the SBI. However, you can easily grab it. Now, this is not just a pattern. It's not just a setup. There are rules. There are things you need to look out to. before we talk of the SBS. Now, again, the sweep has to do with the stop hunt. All right, it's sweep happen when price take out buy or sell side liquidity, right? Sweep happen when price take buy or the sell side liquidity. Let's say price is breaking structure to the upward direction, just like we have here, right? We discover that price will sweep the buy side liquidity, which is the internal liquidity, and move in another direction, right? Those are is either in the upward direction or in the downward direction. Now, it's a trap, right? It's a trap. I'm still talking about the sweep, all right? It's a trap that move often, and also when you're thinking of buying, you discover that you enter a buying order and price will now take you out, and you discover that price starts going in another direction. And most of this sweep occur when we have equal high, equal low, the trend line liquidity, and like I said, the stop front area, which is the buy side liquidity. Now, think of it, clearing the table before big player make move, right? So this is what the big player do most time is this grab liquidity before they move. Let's say you have a trend line liquidity, all right, you have a trend line liquidity to the upward side, The institutional trader will just come around, all right, and grab liquidity and start moving up. So what we have here is what we can call the liquidity sweep, all right, before price continue in the original direction. Now, talking about the break of structure, very simple, is a market structure shift. For price to break one level to the other, just know that there's a change and there's a reason why price has to break structure. It means price have the intention of moving from one point to the other. Now, after the sweep, you look at a break of structure or a change of character. That confirms institutional intent because your goal is to trade like the institution or the smart trader. It shows the real direction of the market, right? It shows the real direction of the market. You see price breaking structure to the upward side. And this is to tell you that this guy is moving to the upward direction. Now, let's talk about the structure. Now, structure in this time or inducement, right? We call it SBS or SBI, anyhow you want it. Structure here is called the inducement or the structural liquidity. Structural, anyhow, Joe. My head is shook this afternoon. Structural liquidity, right? So the structural liquidity in this time is you trying to identify, right? You trying to identify the current market structure, whether bullish or bearish. Analyze internal versus internal structure versus the premium and discount zone. All right, taking the higher time frame as your conference, you look to align with the entry, all right, in the line with the trend. How do you identify structural liquidity? Now, if you recall on the topic of liquidity, I once mentioned that price always grab liquidity, creates an inducement. Now, this low becomes an inducement because price can decide to pull back to induce the low and break structure, to induce the structural liquidity and break structure to the upward direction. That means this previous low, you may recall to the topic of liquidity, this previous low becomes an inducement liquidity. So you take note of the sweep, the break, and the structure. All right. So now, SBS in summary is sweep. The sweep here is liquidity hunted. The break here means structure shift. It's either the break of structure or the chalk So you can call it the market structural shift. Then the structure here has to do with liquidity, inducement liquidity. You having this make you in a safer place to take trade. Why the SBS? Why the SBI, however we can call it. Now, the reason for SBS because price move in a in an algorithm format. All right, this is how price is designed to move. You see price coming down, creating higher high. Price doesn't just move zigzag. Price at some point will create a low, break structure, come down to sweep the previous low and move. This is how price is designed to move. We call it the algorithm. Now, price is technical, right? And it's based on algorithm backed up with economic factors, social factor, and the likes. So we see price coming down, creating another low, breaking structure, and at some point you see price creating a low before coming down. Now this becomes the inducement. This is an engineered liquidity. Price come down and continue breaking structure to the upward direction, right? Sweep inducement. Now, this is how the market really move. So you need to make reference to the topic on the market structure. So now let's move on. Now we are going to look at the SBI in uptrend and the downtrend. So I'm going to use the line to illustrate this, right? I'll also drop this screenshot once I drop this video. Now, first scenario, just look at in two scenarios. The first scenario is you see price breaking structure to the upward direction, hitting the high and the low. Take note of this scenario, memorize this scenario. You see price breaking structure, all right? So price now breaking structure to the upward direction. You discover that here we already have the break of structure, the BOS. Is becomes your sweep. So how do you identify your SBI? You first identify the sweep, all right? The sweep. You identify the break of structures, and you also identify the inducement, the structural liquidity, the SBS, structural liquidity, right? So now, and how do you take trade whenever you find this setup? Now, before we talk about taking trade, try to memorize this. And the SBS is in two patterns. Now, you may recall on the entry model, I once talked about this, right? So I'm going to show you how to blend this with your higher time frame and lower time frame. So this is what we call the SBS scenario one. Please take note. Now, this scenario one, you see, the entry model basically is based on the QML. You can decide to enter with the QML, which is the quick QML, the Quasimodo, or from the demand zone. All right. The QML or from the QML or from the demand zone. All right. So here is your QMR. So here is type 1. How do you validate if price is actually the setup is actually valid? Now this video is going to show you how to identify A plus setup and B plus setup. I'm going to explain. So now we have received price giving us sweep, breaks, and structure. So before you can consider this type of setup valid, always make use of your Fibonacci, but I love using the Gantt box. You pull your Gantt box from the low to where price breaks structure, just like this. So where price breaks structure, the break, right, before price create the inducement, you make sure that your structural liquidity is inside the 50%. If your structural liquidity is here, it means it's not valid for you to take. So make sure your structural liquidity cross the 50%, right? Even though you pull it to the high, you still know that your structural liquidity is in 50%, but put it from the low to the break of structure, right? Make sure your structural liquidity is in the 50%, right? So this is scenario one. Now let's talk about scenario two. Scenario two, you see price breaking structure. First, you identify your sweep. So you identify your sweep. The next thing, you identify the break. What is the difference between scenario one and scenario two, right? What is the difference between scenario one and scenario two? First, we identify the sweep. I'm going to use X. Then the next thing is your break of structure. So once you identify your break of structure, now you discover that price will create an engineer, we engineer liquidity before moving. Now this is the difference between scenario one, price just breaks structure, right? Just like this now. Scenario one, we have this before price starts coming down, but price did sometimes it could be double top, right? Giving an inducement for breaking structure. Sometimes price will create an engine we engineer liquidity here, all right, which is external range liquidity and before pushing up. So how after identify your break of structure, this is scenario one, right? Before price breaks structure, price will first create an inducement liquidity before breaking structure. So this is the second scenario. Please memorize this. All right. Aside from the fact that you have to memorize this, just know that you are not just going out there to trade patterns. All right. So this becomes your inducement liquidity. I'm going to use IDM. All right. Now, how can you determine if this inducement is valid? You pull out your Gantt box or your Fibonacci tool from the high to where price breaks structure. Make sure that this guy is below the 50%. All right. Then you enter from the QMR. All right. Or you enter from the demand. I love entering from the QMR. That means my entry is going to be here. My entry is going to be here. My entry is going to be here. My SL is going to be below. All right. And my TP is going to be here. Now your take profit is going to be 1:3 or 1:2. All right. It actually depends based on your risk appetite anyway. So let me change the color of my day. So this is your setup. Same thing applicable to the second scenario. This is going to be your QMR entry. All right. And this is actually giving us 1:5, right? So now let's talk about a price in the downward trend. So see price in the downward trend, how do you identify your SBI, right? Your SBI, you have the sweep. I'm going to use the X, then you identify the break. Price give us a break of structure, right? And the next thing, you identify the inducement. This becomes our inducement liquidity, right? IGM, IGM. I know this is going to be easy for you to grab based on what I'm going to explain. And my goal for everyone is to be profitable and to less confusion in the market. All right. Then you have your QMR. Then you wait for price to take the inducement. All right. Like price always grab liquidity. Enter from the QMR. Then your your TP is going to be this low, right? And your SL is going to be above. All right. Target your 1:3. This scenario one. Now scenario two is opposite in the sense that is slightly different. What you need to do is to first identify your sweep. Now, this time around, price will first create an inducement before breaking structure, right? So we can't say this is our break of structure. Because this is the high, this is the lower low, this is the lower high. This is not your break of structure. This is if liquidity and being engineered, then this is your formal break of structure, because this is the lower low, lower high, and price is coming to break structure. So this guy here becomes your inducement liquidity, right? This is the difference between scenario one and scenario two, either uptrend or downtrend, is that price on scenario one breaks structure directly. Then on scenario two, price will first create inducement before breaking structure. So having this, it means we identify our sweep, right? This becomes our, we identify our sweep. Identify our sweep. Then the next thing we're going to identify now is our inducement. So this becomes our inducement, right? So once we have our inducement, the next thing is the next thing we are going to identify is our break of structure, BOS, SBI, or SBS, right? Sweep, break, and structural inducement. So now once you have this, it means this is going to be your entry model. You enter from the QMR. Green. You enter from the QMR. Sorry, please. Sorry, I just want to minimize this so that we can have more clarity. Then your entry is going to be from this point. Your SL is going to be above, and your take profit is going to be this low. All right, please. This is very simple, right? So I'm going to do an analysis on how to identify the QMR from the higher time frame to the lower time frame. I'm going to drop this screenshot for us. Try to take notes. Both uptrend and downtrend, pull out of Fibonacci from the high to the low. All right, from the high to the low, you make sure your inducement is in the 50%. If it's not in the 50%, don't take it. All right, if it's giving you equilibrium, sorry. All right, if it's giving you can risk it, all right, but make sure your inducement cross the 50%. Same thing to this guy. You pull from this high to this low. So it means your inducements are valid. Now, the next thing is time frame alignment. How do you align time frame? Now, as a day trader, in fact, if you are trading synthetic, just look forward in cashing your trade, because the synthetic market, should I call it manipulation, is being manipulated most way. All right. So H4, H1, and 15-minute time frame. So most times, if I am able to get my direction on H4 or H1, I proceed to start looking for entry, either H1, depending on what you want. We can look for your higher time frame direction and your lower time frame. In fact, I love using 5 minutes for my entry. So 5 minutes to 15 minutes to 5 minutes for my entry. So any of the time frame. So how do you take the SBI? SBI, price is fractal. When they say price is fractal, it means whatsoever that is happening on higher time frame, the same thing should always happen on lower time frame. And most time price spring up from lower time frame. Imagine you have a mighty ocean. If they tell you where the ocean starts springing from, you say, oh more, the journey of this ocean has been a long distance. So price start print always spring from second, minutes, hour, week, daily, weekly time frame. Any though higher time frame is delayed, right? But price is being produced from the lower time frame. So let's assume these are 4 hour time frame. So what you need to do is identify your SBI on higher time frame. First, you identify your sweep. I'm going to use my heads. You identify your break. So if you identify your SBS on higher time frame, right? The same thing applicable to the lower time frame. So you identify your SBS on higher time frame and also identify it on a lower time frame. So this is going to be our break of structure. So this time frame is going to be all right. Talking about time frame alignment. When anything you have on higher time frame, make sure you have the same thing on a lower time frame. You identify your SBI on higher time frame. It could be 4 hour, it could be 24 hours. Even though you are trying to do your top-down analysis, make sure you take note of the SBI because this is how the market move. Price move in algos like they always print algorithm structure. Let's summarize it, call it the algo structure, right? So see price giving you algo structure almost every time. So here we're gonna have a break of structure. This becomes our break of structure, right? So we can assume that this time frame is actually a 4 hour time frame. You can say, okay, this 4 hour, 24 hour, let's say 4 hour time frame, right? So as a day trader, you can look for between the 24 hour time frame and below. So however you get to SBI is fine. You can go to a lower time frame. You can see an SBI on on 24 hours and still go to 5 minutes to look for entry. Very, very possible. So in this case, I can use 8 hour or use 4 hour. But I'm going to do top analysis with you from 24 hour. Right. So now, see my break of structure. Break of structure. So we have our break of structure, then it means this becomes our inducement, right? So we're able to identify the SBI on higher time frame. So how do you now take trade? It means price came down to grab the internal range liquidity, which is this guy, all right? Sometimes you have fair value gap here and you expect price to take out the external range liquidity, right? Which is the buy side liquidity, right? So now, what do you do at this point? So whenever you have this on higher time frame, where's going on? Whenever you have this on higher time frame, it means prices has the tendency of breaking structure. That means you need to look for trade opportunities on a lower time frame till price take out the ERL, right? So what do I mean? Let me change the color of this guy. I'm gonna change the style to blue. So it means on a lower time frame, if you are having this on 4 hour time frame, all right. So imagine entering from here like this. You are going to lose a lot of money, right? And you don't want to, your SL will be too big. You wait patiently. So when price approach was on your POI on higher time frame, go to a lower time frame and you will now start looking for trade till the ERL is taken out. So that means on a lower time frame, you will now start looking for trade till price take this high. And that means if you go to a lower time frame, still look for the same SBI. SBS, sorry, we have the sweep. Sorry, we have, you identify your sweep, you identify your break, you identify your structural liquidity, right? This is scenario one. This is scenario one. And you look for your QML, you enter from your QML and you look for trade that you are going to trade. Then you enter here. SBIS, higher time frame direction, lower time frame execution. So you target your 1:3 here. And you keep on looking for SBS continuation trade. The price, take out the ARL, as simple as ABC. So let's assume price has given us an SBS. So it means this diagram here represents the lower time frame entry. Go and look at my before and after trade. This is what I trade. Align not. Occasionally I take trade from breaker block, but this is what I focus on. So now this means this is higher time frame and this is lower time frame. So this guy here is, you can say 5 minutes. Let me say 5 minutes. 5 minutes, right? So now, so that means you keep looking for SBS. You see price printing come down, creates an inducement. This time around, I'm going to, you understand? So sometimes price we have to do one crazy pullback like that. You'll be asking why now? So you're gonna be looking for trade, price take you out. So I just want to give an example. So what do you look out for here, right? So you see price giving us sorry, you see price giving us a break of structure. So it's not compulsory you should be taking trade. Looking, if you don't see the SBS, then no trade. That means if this is what you want to focus in trading, so you have the break. Let me just take this as the sweep. I just want to create scenario two, right? So that means what do we have here? We have the sweep, we have the break already, and we have the structural liquidity. Then this becomes your QMR, and you enter from this guy here and you take profit. No SBS, no trade, right? It's possible that you can only see one setup within this range. It means this is your high and this is your low. So it means you can, if it's only one setup you see within this range, it means you have A plus setup. So if you have SBS higher time frame and the confirmation entry SBS, sir, this is A plus setup. You can sell your phone and go and deposit. Honestly, right? So these are type of trade that can give you up to 1,000 USD. These are type of trade that can just make you happy. So once you have SBS higher time frame, SBS lower time frame like this, and it's easy because price always prints structures in algorithm. All right, this is how price is designed. You can't see price being designed in a zigzag, sorry, in a zigzag pattern continuously. Go and backtest your chart. Price always grab liquidity, proceed in original direction. Like price doesn't give us zigzag continuously. Price prints in algorithm. We call it the algo market structure. Please go and study the video on market structure. You see, sometimes price will create liquidity, come down to grab those liquidity, push up, so and so on and so forth. So take note of this diagram. So sometimes it's possible you can see more than three setup. So for example, this is an example of scenario one. Scenario one here we have sweep. I'm coming. All right. Let's assume this becomes the inducement. Like I said, always pull out your Fibonacci and make sure your inducement is in 50%. You can enter from your QMR. Let's assume your QMR is here and you enter. So if you are lucky enough, you can see more than one trade before price take out the ERL. That is why higher time frame direction, lower time frame entry. Higher time frame direction, lower time frame entry. So a recap before we go to the chart to illustrate. SBS stand for sweep, break, and structure. The structure has to do with structural inducement and liquidity. So if it focuses on identifying high probability trade setup by recognizing key price behavior, and the breakdown here is sweep is manipulation of liquidity zone. All right, try to identify liquidity. I told you that every previous time in the market are liquidity, right? Then break has to be break of structure, change of character. This give you the intent of the market direction. Then the structure here has to be structural liquidity. All right, you see price creating liquidity before proceeding to creating an inducement liquidity. Sometimes price will need fuel to proceed. So when price creates a previous low, it becomes your inducement liquidity. And scenario one, price break structure directly give you an inducement liquidity. Enter from QMR, always use of Fibonacci from the high to the low. Applicable from higher time frame, and same thing go to your lower entry time frame. So now this 24-hour on volatility 100 1S. So what can you see on the charts? So from what we have on the chart, you can see that this guy has been pushing up, and you need to see like an eagle, right? You need to sharpen your eyes so that you can see have more clarity to what price is doing. So normal break of structures, marking out your structure is still intact. You can see price breaking structure to the downward direction, right? This could be a pullback trade, right? So this could be a pullback trade. So let me zoom up on 24 hours. We can see there's a reason why price is reacting off this zone, right? We have this, sorry, we have this as a resistance zone. We have this guy here as a resistance zone. And currently now, if you see, price actually came to this point and returned, right? So, and if you can see, price has been consolidating. Let's go to 8-hour time frame to see clearly. Let's see if we can identify SBS on higher time frame. All right. So what do we have here? We see price giving us a sweep. See price giving us a sweep. This becomes our low, and this becomes our inducement liquidity. So we have our break. So this higher time frame SBS, you can see price did series of break of structure, right? Even at this point in time, there are SBS that you can catch up with even on the lower time frame. But I'm just trying to give you an example. So an higher time frame, This becomes your higher time frame SBS. Can you see it? So this is why price has been reacting. We have the sweep, break, and the structure. So this is our low, and currently price came to this point before going back. So let's go to forward time frame to see if we can have more clarity. If we go to forward time frame, you can have more clarity to what I'm showing you. So this is how you do your top-down analysis. So now this was when price tapped to this guy here on forward time frame. So what do we have here? You identify your sweep. You have your sweep. You have your break. Right? Trading is patience. Most time you see me saying trading is patience. You have break. So what scenario is this? We have another break, and price give us an inducement. Right? Price gave us an inducement. So let's assume you have this on higher time frame. Sorry, I'm coming, please. Then this becomes, we have this ERL that price should eventually come to take out, right? So now we have the sweep, the break, and the inducement already. Let me delete this line. So now you already have a direction on a lower time frame, and you see why price is doing. And if you look closely, we have our QMR here. So let's go to 1 hour time frame for clarity. Oh, sorry. What's going on here? So now on 1 hour time frame, we can have more clarity to so now we have the sweep. We have the sweep, and this becomes, I think, this sweep make more sense here. Like I said, you need to open your eyes to see like the eagle so that you'll be able to grab liquidity. So we have this particular guy here as our demand zone, all right, and we have confluencing with the breaker block. And one thing you must know, once price is able to take your inducement liquidity, just any nearest POI is what you should focus on, because it's not every time that price will give you the QMR. You know, we have the demand zone here. We have the demand order block here because this is liquidity before price. You see, price take out the inducement liquidity, tap to this guy here, and start pushing up, right? Now, that means 1 hour time frame is still your higher time frame, right? So if you want to enter from this guy here, that means here's going to be your entry, and here's going to be your entry, and your take profit will be this ERL. But what I love doing most time is I take my profits in the next proximate supply zone, right? Here's a supply zone. I love taking trade in the nearest supply zone instead of the ERL, because from experience, price almost don't take out the ERL before changing direction, mostly synthetic, right? So now what you do is once you have higher time frame buyers, once you have higher time frame, you have the sweep, the break, all right? How do you confirm your structural liquidity? You pull out your gun box, from the low to the high to see where price breaks structure. As you can see here, your inducement is in the 50%, right? Inducement is in the 50%, so which makes this setup valid. This is an A plus setup. So once you have this on 1 hour time frame, if you are not an aggressive trader, generally go to lower time frame. So your lower time frame could be 15 minutes. Sorry, I'll need to go back. So this was when price tapped to this guy. Some will now say, oh, fear of missing out. You see, from this low to this high, even though it's one setup, you see from this guy, just know that it's A plus setup. If you are not an aggressive trader and you don't take trade here, don't panic. Shine your eyes, keep following price. The price is able to give you an SBI, right? Follow price. Now, I'm not going to talk about how to cash up trade with other scenario. If you want to trade with the breaker block now, you see price giving us a market structure shift here, right? To confirm that this guy is changing direction, right? So if you look closely, do we have an SBI? SBI. We have this sweep here. All right, sweep here. This market structural shift becomes your break of structure. But we don't have an inducement that will give us up to 50%, right? So sometimes price will have to do flip entry, right? So let's assume you miss this trade. You can cash up, not SBI now. Please don't digress. You can enter with this breaker block. I'm not going to talk about breaker block for now. All right. So when monitoring for price to give you SBS, you can take advantage of what you see in the market. Is a demand zone, right? If you pull out your Fibonacci 2 from the high to the low, from the high to the low, you can see price plus the 50% is in discount zone. All right. Remember this line that I draw. Remember just like talking about line of sensitivity, both currency and sensitivity. Look at how price tap to line of sensitivity, which serve as level of support, right? And tap to a particular demand zone here. And this demand zone is conflicting with a breaker block. And you can see how price tap into it and price deliver. Now, this is not actually SBS. So if you want to stick with the SBS, don't panic. Before price take out the ARL, there's no way you'll be able to see setup, right? So if you're able to cash with this SBS, which align with our 70%, 71% Fibonacci level, your take profit is going to be a 1:5. But that aside, we are not talking about other entry model. We are focusing on SBS. So we have a break of structure there. And this is a little break, though it's like a substructure on a lower time frame, 5 minutes or 3 minutes. All right, so we have this guy here. In fact, let me go to 5 minutes. I love using 5 minutes to cash up my continuation trade. Sorry, I'm currently on a trade here. I will explain to you once I get there. So now, what do we have here? So as you can see price giving us a break of structure, a break of structure. However, price is doing, just know that price is going to take out that TRL heading over to the premium zone on higher time frame. So we have a break of structure here. All right. Do you notice any SBS here? Is there a sweep here? Let me check. Oh, it's like there's a sweep. All right. This guy gave us a sweep. We had a sweep here. This becomes a break. Can you see it? And this becomes an inducement. That's why I love using 5 minutes as my entry time frame. So let's pull out our gun box to see if this guy fall in 15%. Okay, this inducement falls in 50%. Right. So now we have the sweep, the break, and let me look at this sweep. The sweep is very, very tiny, man. But what can give you more confidence? Let me zoom so I can be sure if this is a sweep. All right, it's a sweep. If you look closely, I don't want to draw for my sheet. All right, try shine your eyes, Sha. Where are you going to escape? Sorry, let me go back. I think this guy returned me back. All right, let's look for our setup. Where am I? Go back to forward time frame. This was when price came to this guy here. If you remember, we have the sweep break and inducement already. So higher time frame sweep. Once we're able to get this higher time frame inducement and price tap to this guy here. So I'm going to 5 minutes for my entry to look for the same SBS. Oh, I'm tired already. So we don't need to be rushing trade. I want to enter every setup you see. All right. Then you have issue with your psychology and you end up losing your money to the market. So now, previously I marked this break of structure. I have market structure shift here. Did price give us SBS here? No, price did not give us SBS. Yeah. Market structure shifts. We have the break of structure. See price giving us break of structures. So I have the little sweep there. And this becomes your inducement. We have the break. So here is the proximate demand zone. Like I said, when price enter a particular demand zone, let me reduce this for clarity. When price enter, take out any inducements and you have a demand zone, take advantage of the nearest point of interest. So what you do is you you enter from here. This is A plus setup. I believe this video is useful. Check most of my setup. These are trades I take. So from here to here, you target your 1:3 confidently. SBS always deliver, all right, if you follow the higher time frame. So you can target this guy here before price start pulling back. We have this break here. Will you say, this setup, will I take it? And this is not a valid inducement. Even if you measure from this is a little break of structure, it doesn't fall in 50%. So I've showed you how to get a valid setup. So it's either you take trade here and you keep looking for continuation trade till price take out your ARL. So after you take your 1:3, you can lock in your profit and hold trade. to the end. So this is gonna give you one. Sorry, this color is very, make it 22. So this give you 1:10 RR sweep break structure, right? Let's go again. You see that price break structure to the upward side. Do we have another opportunity, like price break structure? This was the first entry, right? So let me just delete this for clarity. So what do we have here? We have another sweep. Can you see it here? We have break. Sorry, let me zoom so that you can see this thing clearly. Your goal is to take trades, price take out the RLO. No matter how price is pulling back, as long as you understand the direction of the market, just be confident with your trade. All right, I will not teach you anything that doesn't work. This becomes your inducement, right? Let me delete this guy. Let's assume you've cashed up with that trade, right? You enter from your QMR. Here's your QMR. As price is going, you can confidently look for setup. Wait for price. Even price has printed for a long time, right? Look for setup. So you have your sweep break, right? Inducements. Every previous anomaly in the market are liquidity. So this becomes your next point of interest, right? Can you see how price give us an engineering liquidity? And the reason for entering for lower time frame like this is because one, once you enter from a lower time frame, you have the chances of risking minimum. Just have higher time frame SBS and lower time frame SBS. You'll be looking for setup. So what do we have here? You see how price tap to this guy here, and you enter from this guy here. You target your 1:3. So once you target your 1:3, this one you give 1:5. Imagine using two lot size. This is an A plus setup. And now using an A plus setup, because we have sweep break inducement. Price will always pull back. Can you see all this break of structure we are seeing here? Higher time frame break of structure. Let's say 30 minutes, 1 hour and below, right? So you target the 1:3 or you hold trade if you want to hold, but I prefer you taking your 1:3, right? Now, all this pullback and why price is reacting, we'll still come to that later. Let me just briefly show you how to catch up with SBS. Can you see SBS sweep break structure? So let's go again. Did price give us another SBS? Did price give us another SBS? You can do a re-entry. A re-entry from this breaker block. Can you see it? You add another position. You need to shine your eyes to catch up with setup as price is giving you entry. Now, this setup now is going to give you 1:2. Now, this entry is not SBS. This entry is based on breaker block. And reason being that we have liquidity sitting below, right? Which price up to, and that is how you cash up entry. Remember, we had an entry here, right? Sorry, let me just do this thing like this. And this is an entry with SBS and breaker block here. So here was one of the entry. Sometimes price will even return back to the same entry. Now this one gives 1:12, right? So now, and look at another entry when price pull back, another SBS here. And here is a continuation trade using the breaker block. And what do you look for here? Now, well, you keep on looking for SBS. So price already breaks structure, right? This was where price breaks structure. So, and you anticipate that there will always be a pullback. Now, what do we have here? We have a sweep and we have a break. And we have a structural inducement here. So you enter from you have your setup here. This to tell you that QMR always deliver. Like like mad. Can you see it now? Let's see if our Fibonacci is in 50% from the low to the high. Can you see? Now this guy now came, is a valid SBS, right? So now you can you call this an inducement liquidity? Because there's no profitable setup. Like this is the low that give us valid setup because liquidity was swept here, right? So you now cash up your trade. You enter from here. As long as you have direction, trust me, like once you have SBS on higher time frame and SBS entry, continuation entry on a lower time frame, you just need to be patient. Now, I'm going to say how many trade, even though it's one trade, all this trend that is going on, even though it's one trade, you are able to cash. My dear, you are in money. So the problem we have is we are not patient, right? You see price breaking structure. Now you target your 1:3. Here's 1:3. Or this was when price broke structure, right? So this was the when price breaks structure. You can even look for SBS for sell opportunity. We have the sweep for a downtrend, but let me check if this inducement is valid. This is inducement. Let me see. This is break. It's even valid. You can actually risk the sell. You enter from your QMR. Your goal is to shine your eyes. Oh, shine your eyes. Target your 1:3. Trading is patience. All right. You know, the entry model, I taught a lot of entry model, but look at all my before and after trade is SBS I use. SBS. Should I call it CB? All right, now you can cash up with your 1:3 because you already know that you have a setup here. You can take your trade, say price it your TP. All right. The inducement becomes your take profit. And this one, you hold your trade, even though price is consolidation. Now, one thing about this guy, my friend, my guy, volatility 25, 100 one is this guy on consolidation is 5 and 6. So you need to exercise patience to overcome the pressure and the emotional trauma you might encounter on this page. All right. So consolidation, boom, price delivered. Hey, brother, this one is to 8. Just be looking for SBS. All right. Now, SBS on currency pair is good with sessions. If you are trading, like you cash up with session, right? Give us 1:8. Can you see all this trade? This one is to 8. Let's see this one. What does this one give us? 1:16. This one give us 1:16. This one gave us, you are risking like $2 and making good amount of money. I think this was when, so it's not compulsory you see trade immediately one price tap to your POI. That is one thing you must correct from your mindset. Patience. Wani sùúrù ni. Sorry, I just dey vex because una complain too much. Like, can you see? So this is how you cash up trade SBS. So let's see if we can see other SBS. Remember, we have, let me go to 1 hour time frame, one ish. All right. Sorry. Let's go to 4 hour. 4 hour time frame is sorry. 4 hour time frame is our directional page 4 ish. So 4 hour time frame was this was 4 hour this thing. Can you see how you could have been cashing up trade, make good amounts of money. In fact, for over some time now. Now, for those of you that are asking how to save charts, see, please, any asset you have, right? Let's say this vola, I'm coming. Let me explain this video finish. I love taking my take profit at demand zone here. Any trade I'm looking for end up at a particular demand zone. Let me go to 1 hour time frame. 1 hour time frame, you have more clarity to what the chart is giving you, right? It's still the same point of interest here. All right, and I love taking trade at demand zone. Demand zone is where I love taking profit. You can wait for price to take your ERL, but synthetic only manipulate your money. Now, if you look at now, why is price reversing here? Look closely. You need to shine your eyes, right? We have sweep. That's why you target the nearest demand. Sweep, break. Remember this 1 hour time frame inducement. So what do I have sitting down here? Everything sitting here are liquidity. In fact, I was monitoring this guy then, man, like mad. So now we have this becomes liquidity sitting here. So let's see if this guy is even valid. But because these are liquidity sitting that I can confidently take trade and make sure my take profit becomes this guy here. And see, it's a valid liquidity zone. Inducements, they just line up for there, right? And that's how this to tell you that this point of interest could be a reversal point, because now what do we have? Price is giving us an M formation on higher time frame. What do I mean by M formation? This is a pattern. And if price is giving you a double leg, double top on higher time frame, if price is giving you the second double top on higher time frame, most time these are banker points of interest. So let's go back to now. This was our POI, right? Let's go to 5 minutes to see how we graph cash up with trade. Say price take out our ERL. So now this, when price broke structure, you take note to see if price is going to give you further CB. At this point, we don't have, let me go to 3 minutes. Sorry, for clarity, you can see my least time frame here is 3 minutes. Is there SBI here? There's no SBS, so I can't take this trade. It may look promising. This is a demand zone. This has been mitigated already by this proposed inducement. So I don't have any valid SBS here. So it's not a trade for me. So now, and remember, you have a point of interest where to take your profit, right? So keep looking for SBS. Let me go back to 5 minutes, please. So no SBS delivered. But why is price reacting to this area? We have a breaker block. But this breaker block has been mitigated. Maybe this because it's a second touch. So sometimes you can risk, if you don't have clarity, if you have no confidence, if price is not giving you SBS, you leave it alone, right? Let's assume you want to enter with the breaker block. You enter from here, you can target this side because this was where price broke structure. And most likely, if you don't see breaker block, right? If price is not giving you, or oh, sorry, oh. You need to open your eyes. I did not see it. So, all right, we have sweep here, break, shine your eyes. But don't go and create sweep with your eyes. Oh, all right, it's actually a snipe. This becomes an inducement. Shine your eyes carefully. Inducement. Then this becomes your low, and your take profit is going to be this guy here, right? So this is another added trade. This one is 1:5. Then Now that price has broken our structure, do we have any SBS? We don't have SBS. Everything here are liquidity. These are run-on liquidity. These are trend line liquidity sitting here for price to grab, right? So finally price tap to. I love taking price TP as my demand. That is meant for you. I don't. It's good to target TRL, but higher time frame next demand should be your um point of interest. So now let's go back to now that price. Remember, let's go back to 1 hour. Why is this guy like this? And remember, we have this demand zone here, sweep, break, inducement, right? Higher time frame direction is very strong. So whenever you have this and price is reacting to this, instead of breaking structure and it's rejecting off, is a signal for you. So you can go to lower time frame to look for your SBS. Please don't get confused. Shine your eyes. Shine your eyes. So this was when price tapped to the point of interest. So what do you have here? You have your sweep. You have your break. You have your another break. Sometimes price, this is inducement, right? So you enter from QMR or your demand zone. All right. Now, can you see it? A massive snipe. Right? Sweep break inducements. Go and check most of my trade. This is what I do most time. I just take some trade occasionally. All right. I think this should crown our class so far. And I wish any of us all. So you enter from here. Your SL is going to be above this guy. Target your 1:3. This is a 1:3. You can now decide to hold. Remember, if you check the picture on 1 hour time frame, this guy is on a massive downtrend, just like resting on a particular support. Ask question, see. In fact, knock your head, charge up your head to like, don't create like let price give you its intention. Can you see sweep, break, structural inducement? All right, and even as price is coming down, you can be looking for SBS, right? The price give you SBS is a way. Now, there's no SBS here, even until here. You take your profits here. There is 1:13, right? SBS always deliver because this is how algo really work, right? So now what do we have here? Mm, let me go back to 1 hour time frame so that on 1 hour time frame, we have this liquidity here, right? Which price swept. Let me go to 15-minute time frame. Sorry, let me go back. So price gave consolidation here. This guy with consolidation on 5 and 6. Can you see here? Control Z. Let me use I love using my parallel tool to annotate this consolidation. Can you see this consolidation here? So price did consolidated for a while. So now what did price did? This guy swept this high and starts coming down. So we have the accumulation, the manipulation here, and distribution, right? So price actually reacts to this fair value gap. Even if you want to react, enter based on supply zone, price did not come to supply zone. That is why I said whenever you have a fair value gap on higher time frame, it's also a point of interest. for price to react to. Let me go back to 1 hour time frame to see something. Can you see the fair value gap? Whenever you have fair value gap on a higher time frame, is a point of interest. So here's the fair value gap here. So whenever your fair value gap is high, incoming. At this point in time, nothing will even make me to take trade here because it's possible that price wants to come here, right? And the reason why price is reacting here is because of this demand zone here. And price use the demand zone here to consolidate for a while. So because price can decide to eventually break structure because these are risk trade that give 1 is to 13, right? So most time during consolidation, manipulation on synthetic, I don't love taking trade. I will just avoid for price to give me clarity. So now price gave us a sweep here on 1 hour time frame. Sweep. Sweep. Then we have break. And we have inducement. Is this inducement in 50% for why this trade is running since yesterday? This trade since yesterday, right? So let's pull out our gun box from the high to the low. So this inducement is in 50%, which make it more valid. So what do we have? Like I said, I love taking my take profits at this nearest demand zone. So now you have good money. It's either you enter aggressively or you wait for confirmation. Let's assume you don't want to enter aggressively. Let me delete this guy here. It's actually a snipe. Go to your 5 minutes, look for continuation, sell. Look for SBS, the same SBS, right? So let me reduce this guy here. Sorry, this video is long, but I believe you learned a lot already. So what do we have? We have SBS here already. I was expecting price to come there, but price did not come there. This is the QMR. Or if I want to enter from the demand, this will becomes my demand zone. However, let's use this demand zone. Is this inducement valid? You pull out of Fibonacci 2 from high to low is valid because it crossed the 50%, right? So now, I actually anticipate for price to do what? Can you see price sweeping liquidity? Price always sweep liquidity. Can you see price doing this thing over and over again? It happens on higher time frame. It also happens on lower time frame. So I was actually anticipating for price to come here, like this one. Sorry. Like this one, for price, this one to come here. Then I drive to the break of structure, but price refuse to deliver, right? So now I shine my eyes to look for continuation sell. I have sweep, I have break. This becomes my inducement. Is this inducement valid? This one is not valid because it's not in my 50% though. This one became the valid one. My gun box can use of Fibonacci 2 from high to low. So this inducement is not valid. So this one is more valid. This one is just about giving us, assuming this one is about giving us a type 2 format, right? Scenario 2. Assuming this guy came here and the inducement is here before breaking structure, it will give us a scenario 2. So now we see price giving us a break of structure. So this is a valid inducement. So I was waiting for price to deliver, but price did not return. All these points of interest are still valid, right? So now, currently, a trade is ongoing, right? But a lower time frame continuation trade. Now, shine your eyes. We have the sweep, inducement, and sweep break inducement. So this is type 2 scenario. Why is it type 2? Before price break structure, price first create the inducement, right? Can you say this is a break of structure? Yeah, it's a break of structure, but a substructure, an inducement, an engineered liquidity, right? This is just like me trying to add another position. So if you are seeing this video as at the time I'm dropping this video, this should give you a 1:3. You can use 0.8 or 0.9. You cash up your 1:3, or every nearest supply zone could be your target take profit. All right, if you don't want to risk much, right? That will determine your take profit. Your take profit 1:3.99. This one is to 4.48. Then this demand zone becomes your overall take profit. Remember, we are close to higher time frame area. You can now decide to hold to this point, confidently hold this trade to give you 1:9, right? So now, as you can see, liquidity build up, it sweep itself, sweep break, sweep break. This type 2 scenario, what we have here is type 2, right? You enter from the QMR or you use the supply zone. Either the QMR or use the supply zone. And with this, we are going to be risking more. But anything that make this price to fail, it means you anticipate for this design. Imagine you lose here, one, you lose here, two. If this one plays out, all the loss you made here, you recover because you are going to hold for a long time. But I anticipate on this particular guy here, right? Because I have my sweep, break, and inducement. So, but here's my target for continuation trade. Your 1:3 is here. Use better lot size. You can target 1:3. But overall, I'm targeting this demand leg. So once you have a direction, you don't need to panic, or you don't need to panic. Let your setup deliver. Once your setup is able to deliver, just take your trade. Yes, you lose, win, right? So SBS give you 70 to 80, let's say 60 to 80% setup. So if you are taking SBS, this, can you remember that this higher time frame SBS, right? Higher time frame SBS and lower time frame SBS give you a plus setup. Now, in a scenario whereby your higher time frame is not giving you SBS, that is when we have B plus setup. Let's say higher time frame is giving you something like this. What's going on here? Higher time frame just give you an inducement, right? Without giving you a sweep. Without giving you a sweep, right? And you only have the demand zone. You only have the demand zone, right? You can be looking for your SBS. So all this one are this setup, because price not sweeping liquidity, anything can happen. It means you are not safe on a lower time frame. Price can just pull up a bit before breaking structure. So you need to be careful. I hope this video helped. And then again, those that don't know how to save charts on volatility one traders, volatility or synthetic, this is how to save your charts. But before then, let's go to 1 hour time frame to see how many trade you could have taken so far. Can you see here now? 1, 2. Not compulsory when price start come to your POI, you now be looking for entry. Just look forward to take trade from the internal range to the external range. All right. But because this guy is on higher time frame, how will I put it? Am I confusing everybody here? Okay. Because the higher time frame give us an SBS and lower time frame is printing, just look for SBS pattern till you take profit. And the reason for this sell is because we have sweep break structure. And if you look on higher time frame, this guy seems as selling pressure, right? So don't fixate your mindset on a particular direction. Be flexible like the market. So now, how many trade? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 8th one, and this is the 9th one I'm expecting. So these are to cash up trade, right? And you'll be in massive profit. You just need to be patient for your setup to play out, right? You need to be patient for your setup to play out. Like here, if you look at this guy here, here's another setup. When this guy was on an upward trend, sorry to digress a bit, this becomes your sweep, and you have your break, then you enter from here. This is your SBS. So on lower time frame, you're going to be looking for lower time frame SBS. If you're an aggressive trader, this is higher time frame SBS. And this will give you 1:4. So you just need to go and back test on your chart and make sure you are following the trend. So now let's go to 24 hours to see this guy, to see why this guy is actually reacting off. So price in general is actually trying to consolidate in this area, and price is reacting to particular this line of sensitivity. And what do I say about line of sensitivity? Once you have more than one touch, right? You have one touch here. We have one touch here, two touch. It was resistance before, became support here, and at this area, price is currently in that particular area. So like that, more clarity, you narrow down. I believe you understand. Please, once you watch this video and it makes sense to you, please react. All right, comment. All right, let me know if you are grappling. Now, currently now, let me delete this guy. You see this guy may actually want to return. Look at this guy here. Everything we have here is actually a form of a demand zone. It's actually a demand zone. Now, a lot of liquidity are sitting here. Remember, we are expecting this guy to break structure. Price have not fully break structure, right? This 4-hour time frame. So this guy can decide to come down, do like this, come down, manipulate and break structure. Sure you get. So, and this is going to give you your B setup. I'm probably having a class now, but before then, how do you save charts on synthetic? Now, this is volatility 100. Before you save each chart, always refresh. Always refresh. Now, this volatility 25. You click on save, and VIX, you type VIX 25, VIX or V25, right? You click on save, right? So once you click this arrow, you click on load. You can anytime, anything you do, anytime you are charting the chart, always save, right? Let me change this to my color. So control save, right? So now this guy has been pushing up for a long time, right? So, and what do? You look for SBS, and it can take a long time. If you look here, we have sweep. Now, here's a QML setup, and this becomes your break. Another break. Now, this higher time frame break of structure, like let's say weekly break of structure, right? And this becomes your inducement. So you now wait for price to do what? To come to this area. You now wait for price to push down. Once price come here, you go to lower time frame, look for SBS, right? You look for SBS till price take out this high. So it means you are working with this range. You have a range to work with. This becomes your low, assuming You'll now be looking for SBS pattern, sweep break structure, sweep break structure. Price take this guy out. Now that price is here, there's a reason why price is reacting off this area here, right? I'm tired already. I'm having a class, but then let me. I don't know why this guy is not loading for a long time. This is my issue with synthetic, right? Let's assume this is a POI. Let's assume this is a POI and price is currently on this POI based on SBS. You go to 4-hour time frame to see if you can have more clarity. Is there clarity here? Oh, Nancy setup. You have your sweep. You have your break. Sorry, sweep, break. As simple as ABCD. This is how you follow up. Let's assume this is a POI, but currently now price is reacting. Most time I love using my MetaTrader 5 to backdate because on MetaTrader 5 you can see up to a month. This becomes your inducement, right? But you need to be careful because this guy is on a upward trend. But look at 4-hour time frame. This guy is giving us a market structure shift here. Sorry, market structure shift here. And price already break this low again. So it could be that this guy is actually going down. What do we have here? We have liquidity sitting down here. First, I have this as my point of interest, sweep, break, and structural liquidity. So you now anticipate for price to come to this guy here. Once price comes to 4-hour, go to 5 minutes, go and look for your continuation sell. You need to be patient. But at that, we still have price giving us this vibe. Should I call it vibe? We have sweep. Break. Let's see if this inducement is valid. Structure. For price to have swept this on 4-hour time frame, most likely QMR. This volatility is 75 bar. This volatility is 75. And sorry, 25. Monitor. Because what do you see? Look at liquidity sitting down here. Look at liquidity sitting down here, right? So most likely this becomes your inducement liquidity, structural liquidity. This becomes your sweep. Now, this price giving us this type 2 and scenario 2 on higher time frame, right? Because price create an inducement before breaking structure. So with that being said, we now anticipate for price to push into this guy here, break structure. So if this one fail, this is the next one that we hold. But I trust this one to hold because this is higher time frame. Now as price is going up to this area, you can look for SBS, the price go to that area. Let's go to 5 minutes to see something. Oh Lord Jesus, man. Sure, you know that price has been pushing up. So on 5 minutes, you can look for SBS. See price go up. This was when price start going up. What do we have here? We have the sweep. We have the break. And we have the this is going to be our potential inducement. So let's see. Sorry, sir. Let's see price delivered. QMR. You enter from your QMR, but price did not come to that point of interest, right? But as price is going up, we have another sweep. We have a break. Remember, this 5 minutes. Then we have QMR. That is the reason for the buy. This becomes your structural liquidity, sweep, break, inducement, and let me delete this line. Now you see price creating an inducement before going. This another type 2 setup, creating an inducement before going up. So now this is how you cash up another trade. Once once you understand this thing, you don't need to stress yourself. You now target this CRL, right? Target this CRL. Do your 1:3, lock in your profit, and target the ERL. You keep on looking for SBS, the price take the price break structure. So what do we have? I don't love taking this type of sweep that is too far. I don't love taking this type of sweep. All right, but it's still a liquidity sweep. We have break. This is another type 2 inducement. All right. As long as price has swept your inducement, even though it's not give you that body candle, you can just mark your this thing below the inducement. That was why price tapped to this, and this should give you 1:3. This should give you 1:3 before price return back, right? Most time, if you are this guy that used to hold, you see price will still end up breaking structure. So you keep on looking for sweep break structure till price take you out. So what do we have here? Price only reacts. Now this you're taking trade based on demand and this thing. Like this type of inducement that doesn't end in 50%, I don't love taking it, right? Because my end up becoming the liquidity, pulling out our fib from high to low. It's not in a very good area. It's just that price respect the normal demand and supply entry. We had a sweep here, but the inducement is far, right? To me, I don't take trade because synthetic, if you don't show you shege before, you need to wait for your time to mature, right? I won't take this type of trade, but this is actually a good setup based on demand and supply. Right came to demand and supply is a demand area, but I won't take this type of trade. Now we have sweep, there's no break, no setup, and now price is still pushing up, but the reason for the sell, right? We have sweep. I told you that I'm expecting price to push up to this area, but price can decide to do anything. We have sweep, break. Look at this inducement. This scenario 1, QMR, right? So most of the setup you see me taking, right? If you have this is actually a form of B setup anyway, right? Because your SL here, you see that you target your 1:3 here. But I see this guy still pushing up because we have this supply zone on 1 hour time frame, on 4 hour time frame, based on SBS, sweep break and structure. Hope you can see it. So price can do anything. But I'm coming, let me check something here. So price can still touch this area, right? But you can target your 1:3. I always advise you target your 1:3. This is your 1:3. Assume you enter from the demand area, right? So it means you've already done your 1:3 has been done already, right? So that is how to always target 1:3 is okay. 1:3 is okay. 1:3 is okay. See, anytime price, your inducement is far from the demand area, take note. Anytime your inducement is far from the demand area, enter from the demand. Anytime your inducement and point of interest are closer, use the QMR. You understand? But if they are far from each other, use the demand, right? But most time, if it's currency pair, most time price will just take, for example, price will just sweep the inducement and start going down and start coming down like this. It may not even come to your supply zone. That's why I prefer the QMR most time. So with this, we've come to the end of the class, and I've showed you how to trade the SBS I wish you all the best in your trading journey, and I want you to progress. And I'm just one funnel away from you. So if you have any confusion, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Sorry, I'm seeing something here. Sweep inducements, break, break. Reason for this setup is because price is heading into this area. So requirement, sweep, break, structure inducement. Is it valid? Let's check. Confirmed, 100% valid. So this my 1:3. Let me delete this guy. So this 1:3. If only price come to that point of interest. So you need to be patient for price to deliver. And the reason why this guy is doing as if it wants to buy now, because of this inducement. Can you see it? So you need to open your eyes clearly to see this guy. 1:2. I'll still wait for this if price eventually come back. But this is more valid inducement for me. So guys, we have come to the end of this video, and I believe you've learned a lot and you have more confidence based on what you've learned today. Please practice, practice, practice. It's applicable to currency pair. Practice make perfect. SBS higher time frame and SBS lower time frame give you a plus setup. SBS just normal demand and supply zone, right? Fibonacci confirmation, and you want to take a continuation trade, we just give you B plus setup, right? At all, the market just dey raw. You don't have direction. That is when you have C plus C setup. So wish you all the best. Have a blessed day.